What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNews.com. Welcome back to another one of our Kentucky Derby updates. Well, it's a new week and a new year. You're probably watching this when there's just a couple of days left of the 2024 calendar. But overall, it is a new year for the racing dudes as far as the Kentucky Derby picture goes. Now, before we move on, let's to this week and what's coming up. Let's talk a little bit about what happened last week, and let's start with a couple of maiden special weights. Really, no Derby prep, so the maiden special weights took center stage. Let's go to Thursday at Santa Anita. It was race 2 on the card. A maiden special weight, obviously, for the 2-year-olds. Bob Baffert had a pair in here with Matticat Road and San Saba, and San Saba was kind of the hype horse, the horse everybody was talking about, everything like that, all the things that we kind of talked about last week. And then Matticat Road was a horse that debuted in a stakes race because he tried to run at Churchill. The race did not fill. And then debuted in a stakes. It was the Bob Hope at Del Mar and got second behind a horse named Bullard, who's a pretty nice horse, we think. Anyway, long story short, they run the race at Santa Anita, and it is Matticat Road who gets the best of San Saba. So Matticat Road wins. San Saba ends up finishing third, beating 4 lengths in this spot. And the second place horse was Father Ted, who was another debut horse from Mark Glatt with Flavian Proud aboard, who I thought ran very well in this race as well. Got far behind and made a big run at the end. So at the end of the day, Matticat Road 86 Beyer speed figure is what he was assigned. And I thought it was a nice foundation building type of race. I think this horse is going to get better when they go longer. Let's face it, he's going to have to. At 86 Beyer, not going to win, a race like the Kentucky Derby or really many of the prep races, if any. So he's going to have to get a little bit better. We know that, but he has a right to. I'm guessing his next start will be around 2 turns and either an allowance or Kentucky Derby prep race. So we'll see where he's at then. But I was impressed with him. It wasn't out of this world. It wasn't anything like that, but it was solid. The second place horse, Father Ted, kind of a more of a sprinter type pedigree, but boy, did he close well and really run well. So keep Father Ted in your, in your mind as well when looking at these horses. Again, I don't know how far he's going to want to go, but I do think he's decent, and I do think he's got talent. Then finally, San Saba, who was third in this heavily hyped maiden special weight race, kind of looked like he was going to win at the top of the stretch. He kind of sat a pretty good stalking outside trip. They kind of asked him to go, and he kind of ranged up by the leader, and then he had no kick at the end. So a little bit concerning that he didn't really have an excuse in this race. Everything went right. I guess you could say his main excuse, if you're going to make one for him, hey, it was his first race. He'll probably improve next out. We'll see, but not very good from San Saba. I wouldn't totally, kind of throw him out, but I'm not too excited about him moving forward. We'll see on Matticat Road. He's going to have to improve going 2 turns. Another maiden special weight that we'll talk about just quickly here happened at Fairgrounds, and it happened on Saturday. A horse by the name of Gunmetal, trained by Brad Cox. Who else? It seems like this guy's got a ton of 2-year-olds right now that are winning. But Gunmetal makes his debut, a horse, as you could probably guess, by Gunrunner out of a Spicestown mare. He was in a battle down the stretch with a Steve Asmussen runner that was pretty good as well. And Gunmetal just ended up putting that horse away. And really, as the wire approached, kind of was lengthening his stride and lengthening his margin of victory. So really good race from him. This is kind of the key. We talked about Matticat Road. He got an 86. Gunmetal receives a 96 Beyer for that victory. So much higher Beyer. I don't, it's not the end all be all, but I thought it was interesting that it was 10 points higher. That's significant. That's a lot of points. So anyway, Gunmetal, another one to keep on the radar. Both these horses, Matticat Road and Gunmetal, they might be in stakes next. They're still kind of eligible for that first level allowance race. So we'll kind of see how it goes. Of course, Brad Cox, like I said, with Gunmetal. So you're thinking Oaklawn, Fairgrounds. He broke the maiden at Fairgrounds. Maybe they keep him there. So one of those 2 racetracks you'd think for Gunmetal. And then obviously, well, I guess with Baffert, you never really know, but you'd think Santa Anita will probably be next. Some sort of race there at Santa Anita for Matticat Road. All right, let's move on now to the top 5. We'll do that, and then we'll look ahead to a busy weekend coming up. Top 5 now, we'll keep going. Number 5 is Patch Adams. Patch Adams, of course, in a sensational win last time out at Churchill Downs. Another Brad Cox runner we'll talk about that probably jumps up to stakes company, I would think, after that race. he was just too darn good to keep away from Stakes Company. Just a really, really nice effort there at Churchill. We'll have to see him around 2 turns. We don't know about that yet. Young horse, but we'll see what he does in his next start. The number 4 is Journalism. And look, right now he is the favorite at the win in Las Vegas to win the Kentucky Derby. I mean, what that means is not that much at this point, obviously, but still, it shows you how people like him. He was a very nice winner of the Los Alamitos Futurity. He beat Getaway Car and he beat Gaming, a couple of Bob Baffert horses. Always tough to beat Bob Baffert in California in these races, as we know. So Journalism at number 4. He looks awfully good, and he's got a pedigree that says he's going to go even better as the distances get longer. The number 3, Sovereignty, the winner of the Street since last time out at Churchill Downs. He improved tremendously when stretching out to 2 turns like we kind of speculated that he would. 2 good races around 1 turn, just couldn't get the job done. So he won the Street since as a maiden. But again, he was a maiden that kind of looked the best in that race going into it. So it kind of gives you the competition he's been up against when going 1 turn, which is not really what this horse wanted to do. Number 2 is East Avenue. And East Avenue, very frustrating in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Sorts had been flawless in 2 starts, including a win in the Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland, and then went to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and stumbled badly out of the gate, fell back to last or close to last, and just that's not where this horse likes to run. So you kind of draw a line through that one. Hopefully he's got a better fate going forward, but not much you can take from that Breeders' Cup. And then finally, number 1 on the list, once again, it'll be Citizen Bull. It'll take us into 2025 as our number 1 horse. I kind of labeled him as a weak number 1, a couple weeks ago. I don't know where I said it. It could have been this video or it could have been one of the shows. I think he's a weak number 1, but I still think he is number 1 because he's undefeated around 2 turns. He won the American Pharoah and he won the most important race, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So there's not really question marks around him as far as can he go 2 turns or, how good is he? Can he actually win a stakes? No, he's done all of that. Now he got an easy lead in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and just kind of walked around the racetrack. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile has not come back very good. We do know that as well. Some horses, 3 horses actually have come back, not one, and really not been threatening. Now they've finished second, and third. They were non-threatening seconds and thirds. So I get it. If you're skeptical, I am too. All right, to recap, number 5, Patch Adams. Number 4, Journalism. Number 3, Sovereignty. Number 2, East Avenue. And number 1, Citizen Bull. All right, let's look ahead to January 4th, this Saturday. What a day of racing this is going to be. It's not 4 Kentucky Derby prep races technically. 2 Kentucky Derby prep races that count for points, and then 2 races that don't count for points, but could be just as productive. So the 2-point races will be the Jerome Stakes at Aqueduct. At the time of the recording of the video, I don't know who's running in it. I don't know why. It's pretty late in the afternoon here on Sunday. The Jerome should be out. It is not out. I expect it to be out anytime, maybe even right when we finish this video. We'll see if it is. I'll tell you who's or what I think of the field. But we'll have full previews of the Jerome coming up. Also, we'll have a full preview of the Smarty Joan coming up here very soon as well. Flavian Pratt comes in to ride the Brad Cox train Hot Property. So that's very interesting to see him, Flavian Pratt, meaning coming in to ride for that race. And then also Kale's Angel, a horse that beat Innovator, and Innovator came back to win today at Oaklawn. And of course, Barnes just barely beat Innovator as well. So a nice horse. Kale's Angel destroyed him. Now he's in the Smarty Jones. So that's a very interesting race there. The Mucho Macho Man live from Gulfstream Park will also be this Saturday. Now, this is a non-Kentucky Derby prep race, but still, you kind of get the drift. There's going to be some horses that might jump onto the Triple Crown / Kentucky Derby Trail. Wide open field. Stay tuned for the preview of that coming up in another video. And then finally, the San Vicente from Santa Anita. Not a Kentucky Derby prep race, 7 furlong race, but there's always some really nice horses entered here. We have no idea what the field looks like there. They'll draw that later this week. And again, just keep an eye out there for the San Vicente and when they draw, because that, like I said, it's not an official race, but it's going to be a good race. And I bet there's going to be some good horses in that one. So again, the Jerome at Aqueduct, all these races Saturday, the Jerome at Aqueduct, the Smarty Jones at Oaklawn Park, the Mucho Macho Man at Gulfstream Park, and the San Vicente at Santa Anita. 4 great races lined up. And of course, next week we'll have a lot to talk about, won't we? We're going to recap all 4 of those races. Plus, like always, we'll keep an eye on these maidens. There's going to be a few more. We'll keep an eye on them as we go down the road. So that'll do it for this week and the Kentucky Derby update. Make sure to come back next week. We'll have a lot more for you as the new year will be upon us and a bunch of stakes races, 2 of them literally Kentucky Derby prep races on the docket. All right, guys, thanks everybody for watching this video. Hit that like button if you like it. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, come back next week for more Kentucky Derby news.